so much to talk about with when it comes to the finale. So if you don't mind, I'll just kind of dive in and
Yeah.
ask you about killing Tracy and Gordon.
Yeah, that was a big deal. We spent a lot of time puzzling that through in the writer's room. We had come up with this, we'd set all the pieces in place and we're trying to decide how they were going to play themselves out. And there were certainly various characters were in jeopardy in various different ways. And as we started talking about the possibility of having one or both, either Gordo or Tracy, take that last run, then you start talking about whether they should die. And would one of them die? Would both of them die? And we went round and round on it for a while internally. And ultimately, I think what carried the day was just our sense that this was the right ending to their story as characters, that it felt like we had taken them on a journey from season one and shown you how they first met, then then the troubles in their marriage, then Tracy gets this opportunity, how that affects Gordo's life, then they split between the seasons, and the two of them coming back together on the moon and finding each other finally at the very end, and then dying together in this heroic endeavor seemed like the right way to end their story. And even though we were sort of all heartbroken about it because we love the characters and we love the cast members, we love Sarah and Michael, and it was hard, but at the end we just sort of felt like it was the right thing to do, and it felt like that's the satisfying ending to the story of Tracy and Gordo.
Now, was this a situation where you knew that the actors wouldn't be available for season three, and then so it was kind of a way of writing towards that, or did you just kind
No,
of it's the opposite way?
it was the opposite. I mean, they were available. We could have continued both characters, and we had plans. We had preliminary plans. Because we had sort of sketched ahead multiple
Mm.
seasons of the show, and we sort of had ideas about what we were going to do with them in the third season. But the story just sort of took us there. So it really wasn't about actor availability at all.
It must be nice to have that kind of freedom within the writer's room.
It is. It's great. I mean, it's a very open, very free room, and I always try to tell my writing staffs, come up with the idea that's crazy. Come up with something that's shocking. Say the thing that you don't think you can say, and let's. Most of the time you're not going to do it. A lot of the times you're just going to say, that's too much. But sometimes it is the right move, and sometimes when somebody says it, everybody kind of takes a step back and goes, "Oh, I don't know if we can do that." And then you start talking it through, and you start seeing the opportunities and the possibilities, and then you shy away from it, and then you just keep finding yourself like a gravitational force coming back to it. So we literally, it was pitched out early, and Gordo and Tracy could die when they go on that run, and we all went, no, let's not do that. But it just kept coming back up. It would not, the idea wouldn't die in the writer's room, and we just kept coming back to it until it was clear that it was just the right place to go.
Gotcha. So, in terms of leaping forward to 1994 for season three, we saw in the leap from season one to season two that we get some of the details about what happened between in those years that get skipped over, but not a lot, and they kind of trickle in. Is that similar to the approach you're taking for season three?
Yeah, it'll be a very similar approach. We want to, let the audience be surprised by the changes of what's happened, where the characters are in their lives, what's happened in the world, and then give them a certain sort of framework of, okay, here's some historical events and some cultural events that happened in between the two seasons. But then as the season goes on, you keep making references to things that happened in the intervening years. And there's things that are on television, there's things in newspapers, there's like casual lines that are thrown out, little Easter eggs along the way. Apple has also had this as part of the platform. We had certain bonus pieces that we put in there that also filled in. There were news broadcasts, there were sort of confessionals, there were other historical pieces that we put on the platform for people that were really really interested in those alternate history ideas. What else? Because we had worked out a lot of that stuff. So here it is. If you're interested, here's another way to go experience that.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually funny. I remembered recently the very first set visit for the show that I ever got to do before it had ever come out, and I asked you, about, what's the divergent point? What is the one thing that happened that led to the Russians beating the Americans to the moon? And you said what it was there, and I'm not mentioning it now just because A, it might have changed in the years, but B, I don't think we've had that been revealed on the show. And I was curious, like, is that something you ever do plan to reveal?
Oh, I know what you're talking about, and actually, yeah, it's just it's not a huge spoiler. I'll just give it to you. You know, our point of divergence was the idea that Sergei Korolev, who was the father of the Soviet space program, in reality, he died during an operation in Moscow in the mid 60s.
Right.
And after that point, like their moon program really never pulled together. Like they had developed the N1 rocket, but it kept blowing up and it all kind of fell apart in the race to the moon. And our point of divergence was that Korolev lives and that somehow he was able to pull all the bureaucratic pieces together and the technological challenges, and he kind of made their moon landing happen. That was the point of divergence for us. We had always sort of tried to figure out a way to mention it, but it never quite, there was never like an organic, easy way to sort of casually say that somebody did not die in an operation, you know? So we never quite figured out a way to really cement that into the story. And I think we might have mentioned the name Korolov in dialogue somewhere, or maybe that got dropped out. But it's kind of one of those things I think we've sort of forgotten because it's so far now in the past of our creative process that we haven't ever actually kind of pinpointed it on camera that that's the point of divergence.
In terms of season three, what else do you feel comfortable teasing at this point?
Well, you know, just that, not much, just that does jump to the 90s, and Mars is clearly, you know, a big focus of what season three is about, and the rest of it, you know, we're just kind of keeping under wraps for now.
The season two flash forward that happens at the end of season one, we do see that scene in the context of season two, but it's it's not the kickoff point for season two. It's kind of deep into the middle of the season. Is
Right.
that similar to how is the Mars landing that we see in the tease for at the end of season two a similar approach?
I'd rather not say.
That's fair. One thing I do want to make sure I ask about getting Nirvana for the final moments, was that as hard as you might have expected, or to come together pretty easily?
I came, you know, it's just a question of money. You know, ain't cheap. I'll put it that way. But none of the big songs are cheap. So we've used everyone from Sinatra to Nirvana to the Rolling Stones and AC/DC at this point. So we kind of know what we're in for, and we budget accordingly.
Well, that's my time with you. Thank you so much, and can't wait for season three. Good luck with it.
Great. Thank you very much.